Boris Johnson is in trouble. But how much trouble is he in, and what happens next? Well, first off, Boris Johnson and Rishi Sunak both came out last night and said they've paid their fines and they're not going to resign. Boris Johnson even went as far as to claim that being fined for breaking his own laws and having a birthday party when people couldn't go to their loved ones' funerals and then lying about it to the public had given him a renewed vim and vigour for getting on with the job and delivering for the country. His outriders, his most loyal MPs, ministers, bag carriers, the junior MPs he stacked onto the government payroll with low-level jobs last time he got in serious trouble, are of course defending him. Their excuses have ranged from, don't you know there's a war on? Which is a bit silly considering France is having an election as we speak, and Britain has frequently changed Prime Minister at times of conflict, to he didn't realise he was breaking the rules and he was put in this position by those around him, neither of which are particularly indicative of a strong leader who can keep on top of things in times of pressure. So Boris Johnson is going to try and tough this one out. But could his MPs oust him? There's still a chance that 54 Tories could write to Graham Brady and trigger a leadership contest. But there are two factors on Boris Johnson's side which make that less likely to happen this time. Firstly, the House of Commons is currently on recess, which means MPs are not hanging around in dark rooms and bars plotting against him. And that leads to the second thing in Boris Johnson's favour. Away from the buzz and excitement of Westminster, Tory MPs are taking a long, sobering look at the list of people who could replace him. And a lot of them have come to the conclusion that they're all rubbish. Now, whether this holds over time is another question. There's already polling showing that 75% of the public believe that Boris Johnson deliberately lied about these parties. And there's more than half of the country apparently think he should resign as a result. But a lot of MPs are likely to wait and see how badly the Tories get punished in next month's local elections before they make their decision. If Boris Johnson looks like he's going to be a real drag on the party, they might make a move. Whether Rishi Sunak will resign is another question. Now, Rishi Sunak had one of the worst weeks of news of any politician since Boris Johnson at the height of Partygate. And there was talk of him considering his position during that week, which he decided not to do. But indications last night are that he was going to stay for now, but his position seems a little bit more wobbly than the Prime Minister's. So what's going to happen next? Well, at some point, Boris Johnson is going to come and address these issues in Parliament. Commons, as I say, is currently on recess, so that can't happen as it stands before next Tuesday. Now, there have been calls for the government to recall Parliament early, and Number 10 were reportedly considering this to discuss the latest from Ukraine until the Partygate scandal reared its head again, and so now that's extremely unlikely to happen. Beyond next Tuesday, there's every chance opposition parties, the Lib Dems, maybe Labour, will try and force a no confidence vote in the House of Commons in a bid to oust the Prime Minister. That will most likely fail, just given the basic numbers in the House of Commons. It's unlikely that that's going to go anywhere. But Boris Johnson, crucially, is not out of the woods just yet. He's been fined for this one party, which was his birthday party in the cabinet room, and that's what Rishi Sunak and Boris Johnson's wife, Kerry Johnson, have been fined for as well. But that's not the end of the fines. The police, as we understand it, are going through the parties in reverse order of complexity. They're doing the low-hanging fruit first. So the police, as we understand it, are maybe 4 parties into their list of 11 that they are investigating in total. And it's said that Boris Johnson was at about 6 of those, and this is the first one of those 6 that he's received a fine for. Now, it's also worth remembering that these fines go up the more fines you get. So it could end up being, if he's issued with more fines down the road, they could end up in thousands of pounds, not just 50 quid if you pay within 14 days. So stay tuned, this one's probably going to run and run.